Alright, YouTubers, it was 15 years ago today that the bombing of Baghdad by the Western powers, US, UK, and Spain, non-aligned countries, random little small countries. It was not a coalition. It was a violation of the United Nations Charter and arguably an illegal war begun. And the morning this was happening in New York City at Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza, that's the UN building, the United Nations building. I had flown in that week to New York, and I'd gotten the press pass the day before, or maybe 2 days before. So suited, microphones, working in radio, and went to the Security Council chambers. And there's a press corps that meets outside the Security Council. And this is the place where, you know, they have a mic, which is on a boom, and it'll be swiveled in front of you so that when you ask that question, your question will be on the record, on the United Nations record. So there's a guy standing there, and there's all of us in the press corps here, and he like puts the CNN woman asks a question, and he puts the mic in front of her like that. So the first ambassador coming back in the morning to work, you know, he's in a suit, and I think he was carrying his own materials. He didn't have any aid with him or anything. Approaches the thing, and people start shouting questions out, and if you get loud enough, they give you the mic. And the CNN person went first. I remember she was a, East Asian American, and she starts asking questions about food security and so on. And the next person goes, well, are you concerned about something about, in your country, there will be some reprisal or something, And so I'm standing there, and I can't believe this is happening. I honestly feel this was an illegal war, and many people, millions of people, felt this way. So I shout out, excuse me, sir, will you condemn the illegal bombing? I don't think I said illegal. The bombing of Baghdad last night. Will you condemn the bombing of Baghdad? And everybody turned and looked at me. And then the guy was like taken aback. I forget which country he was from, an African country. The Security Council has the permanent members, and then you have rotating members. So there were 14 members at the time. I haven't Googled anything today to remember. I'm just waking up today and having this memory, and I thought I would just share it with you. It's a day I'm proud of in my career or my life as an artist and a journalist and a writer. Because then the next person came, and I asked them. And then the next person came, and I asked them. And by the time the fourth or fifth ambassador came, someone else would ask. So it didn't have to always be me. But we made sure thus that every single ambassador to the United Nations Security Council responded to the question, do you condemn this act? Sergei Lavrov, who of course is still quite active in Russia, was the ambassador to the UN, and he stopped and gave a very eloquent response in English. He said, I'm sure you all read the response from our President Putin this morning. We believe this violates the UN Charter, and it should be considered an illegal act. That's Russia, the country of Russia. We're not like, a handful of people here. The German came, I remember, and he had his own papers, and when I asked the question, he looked at me brusquely like, who is this child asking me this moronic question? And he says, we have to be concerned now about the political realities on the ground. Can we get food to these people? He immediately just blew past it and was saying that's just an idiotic thing to be discussing. As whether or not the US, the UK, and Spain had acted illegally and had broken the charter. I have a lot of other small memories, I guess. I should try to call them and write them, but I wanted to share this with you all because it was a crazy day. And now, 15 years later, it remains an illegal war. And it ought to have never happened, and these countries should have been condemned for it. I'm MTK.